It doesn't matter the form, really, it can take any form, but it's important that a dialogue sets clear objectives. Why the dialogue? We need a dialogue because we have slipped off the democratic path. We made a constitution, we have electoral laws, but they've continued to change the constitution, change the electoral laws in ways that have led to this kind of violence, and actually we're moving away from the rule of law. We don't even respect the rules we make. So we need to have a dialogue to restore us on the path of on some reforms that will make elections truly fair and able to deliver the outcomes of people that people want, to reflect the will of the people. We need to have a discussion around the role of the military and the security forces in elections, because much of the violence is driven by the security agencies. We need to have a dialogue regarding the use of money and bribery in elections. These are the things that fail us from choosing the leaders we need and result in instability. So having clear objectives is important, and having a process that is facilitated neutrally. I mean, this is going to would take some humility and trust on the part of President Museveni and his NRM party to trust some neutral facilitation, and to be humble enough to admit that we need help to have a good dialogue, that you can't be the one who is controlling the dialogue, then there's no trust from your opposition. So these are some of the things you need to have. But it all will take courage on the part of the president, and a genuine understanding that the positive things he has done can only be protected and taken forward when the process of replacing him is free and fair and predictable. Otherwise, if it's a forced and an illegitimate way of replacing him, we will fall back into more and more chaos. It won't be a solution.
Do you think Dr. Wesley would be open to dialogue, especially that involves Museveni?
The Besigye I know is open to dialogue. Why? Because he's a Democrat, and he has put himself out, dedicated himself to this struggle to give Ugandans a fair chance to choose their leaders, and he has been fighting on a democratic agenda of fighting poverty, achieving equality. So if there's dialogue, why won't he come to the table? Of course he would come to the table. But as I said, a dialogue needs to be intentional and needs to be credible, and that's the kind of dialogue we are asking for.
Maybe lastly from me is, to what extent has this incarceration broken his spirit? Because I know you've interfaced with him more closely than any of us. We know that this, we look at the news this year.
Challenge this in the courts of
We have. By the way, Dr. Kizza Besigye has, I don't think it's ever happened before that there is a case, a criminal case against someone, and there's such a huge team of lawyers offering themselves for free, pro bono, to defend an individual charged with a criminal case. I don't think it's ever happened. There are more than 50 Ugandan lawyers who have offered themselves and are fighting his case. They are joined by lawyers from the region. They keep coming each time he's appearing, from Kenya, from Tanzania, from even as far as the Comoros. There are international lawyers behind this case, international human rights organizations putting themselves forward to support him, to fight his case, because they see the injustice of it, and they see the political implications for Uganda and even for the region. So there's a lot of interest and a lot of support. He has applied for bail twice, And each time they are deflecting. And we know why. President Museveni himself has said openly that he must not be given bail. So the judges are interested in justice, but at the same time they think about their careers, because they are also appointed through a system that President Museveni influences. So they are unable to deliver justice, and so they keep deflecting. So, but I'm saying now it's too much. This is unacceptable. You can't have a man who's 69 years old, who is being held in, it's some kind of solitary confinement, because he's not allowed to talk to any other prisoners. He's not allowed to socialize with them, even to pray with them. And now he's been attacked by bed bugs. He's being bitten by bed bugs, and he has a right to bail. This is violation. This is undermining his health. This is humiliating him. This is persecution. It must stop. It must. Twice this week, I went to see him on Monday. I saw him on Wednesday, and indeed I've been here just to see him for a few days. Besigye will not break. His spirit will not break. He's a person who is, by his nature, a very determined person and very purposeful. He thinks, he decides what he wants to do, and he goes for it, and he's always ready to pay the price for what he believes is just and right. So he's not broken. In fact, people who visit him say that he motivates them, that's what I found. I found him, he's worried about his situation. He's not enjoying it, definitely not. He's worried about his condition, but definitely still resolute and asserting his innocence and ready to defend himself.
What does this mean? What do you think this means to Besigye's trial?
That was a sad day for Uganda. The day he signed that bill that is reversing a Supreme Court decision that the Constitution of Uganda protects civilians by not allowing them to be in military courts. That the Supreme Court read the Constitution and said Ugandan civilians should not be tried by the military. And he pays members of parliament money at night in cash, and they come before parliament and they pass a law reversing the Supreme Court, and then he assents to it. I have compared this to what we say in the Catholic faith. We have a sin we call sacrilege. That is a sin that's not forgivable. It is a very grave sin. It is really an assault on our Constitution. It's the most important assault, I think, we have had on our Constitution. It's a reversal of what we achieved for Uganda when we made the 1995 Constitution. I was a constitution maker. I felt hurt. Not because it has implications for my husband, which it could, but for our country, for our people, and for all those young people who are languishing in jail, like the 15 or so people who are with Besigye in the cell he's in, who've been there for 10 years, thrown there and forgotten on remand. So this has serious implications for many families, but also for the future of our country. Constitutionalism, rule of law, democracy. You're right that Besigye's imprisonment is political. He has not committed a crime. He's really there for political reasons. This is about the contest, about the political transition. So it needs to be solved politically. The courts will not solve it. The courts are being used to keep him in prison. And you can see that since they arrested him up to now, it's 6 months, they've not even been able to try him. They've been investigating endlessly. Yes, I have talked to some people who are in the executive branch and encouraged them to have a political dialogue. I have talked to some. And I also see that there are many governments that are also trying to encourage President Museveni to find a political solution and not to criminalize. So, yes, we are trying. We are going to keep arguing for urging President Museveni to have a dialogue and not to criminalize, not just Dr. Besigye. I always try to, first of all, I try not to personalize these things. Things are not going well in our country, but we have to deal with them as public issues and not personalize them. Indeed, I get quite surprised when people are questioning me about why are you talking to this one in the government? Why are you congratulating a soldier in the army? These are personal things. If somebody makes makes an achievement, I say congratulations. If somebody is sick, I say sorry you are sick. I do not personalize the issues, and I do not break off relationships with people who support NRM just because they support NRM. No, but I am angry at how my husband is being treated, and I'm not going to hide that. I'm saying it, I'm criticizing President Museveni, I'm calling on him to stop this persecution. But if I get an opportunity to speak to him, I'll speak to him. And if I meet him in a social event, I will not refuse to talk to him or shake his hand. No way. I'm not like that.
Maybe a follow-up just to
Yeah.
that. What are they saying?
No, they are not making much progress, obviously. They are not. In fact,
the wrong people. Because I know there are ministers who have never been seeing the president. There are ministers and the presidential advisors who have never advised the president. So I would imagine maybe you're talking to those ones.
Maybe, maybe. I don't know. But honestly, this issue of the imprisonment of Dr. Besigye seems to be very, very driven by the president himself. Because you saw him come out and challenge the Supreme Court ruling at a time when we were expecting that the ruling will result in the release of Kizza Besigye. We saw him how he spoke publicly about the case. You saw his son even saying he has fixed a date and a place where to hang him. So we are seeing, that there is a strong interest and a drive of how this case will be determined coming from the president and his son. This is very concerning. And that's why I'm saying it's political. And we need to find a political solution to this. This is not about a legal matter.